So this will be a kind of section on the YouTube channel that, as the title implies, will be devoted to news and politics. It will be marked news and politics, so if you don't want to hear anything about news and politics, you don't have to click on this. If you just want to hear the cultural stuff, you can click on there, no judgment. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Trump because, of course, he's everywhere. And I actually want to key in on Snowden, but of course we can't do that until we address the elephant in the room, which is the impeachment thing and whether or not he's a fascist, just to cut to the chase. Now, I don't really take the impeachment thing too seriously. The long and short of that is they just want to prevent him from running in 2024. Maybe that's a noble cause, maybe it's not. I just don't think it's that important, frankly. Now, in terms of his fascism, I honestly don't see much of an issue. There's a big debate, both among historians as well as more political people, whether it's productive to label him a fascist. Having studied the subject, honestly, for literally 20 years, I have to say it's really not a big controversy to label him that or categorize him as that. I'll do another video being more rigorous, going through the argument, but I don't take that as the major issue. I think the more interesting issue is his alleged populism. Now, I agree with most people, the populism in question is phony, right? All this man of the people, I'm serving others, yada, yada, yada. It is mostly false. However, and this is where it gets tricky, even if 90% of it is false, there is an aspect of it, a tiny aspect, of him having this antagonism and hatred of established elites. Now, he did use the court system and a lot of, legal games in terms of trying to contest the election. But he also made this direct appeal. I mean, what happened in the Capitol was a populist thing. Good or bad, he did make this direct appeal to, quote, the people, and they responded. We have a kind of paradox that most of the time this populism is not really real. It's just being used by him as a pretext to steal money and, take things and break the law, etc., which is usually what a lot of populist politicians do. They just steal things. They're just using this as a rhetoric to just get into office. However, he has made some policy decisions. Most of them are horrific, right? These are horrific policies based on populist ideology. So I do think ideology is real to some extent. And some of those are actually good decisions. Most of the decisions I think are terrible, like the vast majority. However, there are a few decisions that were based on this kind of populist reasoning, which I don't think were totally crazy. So now to get to Snowden, and again, the chances of this even happening are really remote. The pardons he's done have been mostly to help himself out and basically help his political allies, as well as the content of the pardons is ridiculous in terms of who he's pardoning. However, I would have to say in terms of the movement to pardon Snowden, if they could frame it as, well, what would really upset political elites is if you did this, because the establishment does not want this. The establishment has clearly said they don't like Snowden. They don't like what he did. He should still be in Russia and exiled for as long as possible. I don't think it's sustainable. Eventually he's going to come back because this is just ridiculous. They just can't keep him bottled up there forever. But in terms of what he did, I don't think he did anything wrong. And I can, try to go through the arguments why I think that. But insofar as I think he was justified, I just don't see what the issue is. And frankly, in terms of Trump, one thing you can count on him is he does like basically upsetting people. So if this would upset a lot of people in established political networks, whether the military or Congress or the news media, this would be it. And he has already done some weird things with Jonathan Pollard, right, who was this kind of spy caught during the 1980s. And he's sort of been very easygoing on that issue. Now, of course, that's because it's a right-wing issue. However, in terms of populism is not really defined by left or right. They sort of are a really weird category outside the traditional categories of left or right. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think lobbying for his pardon and sort of framing it as a very populist thing that he could do to sort of upset people, if it works, I think it's justified. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of politics is very Machiavellian. And I do think Snowden should be pardoned. So if they can convince Trump at the last minute to give him pardon, I think that would be worth it. Again, he's done so many horrible things based on this pseudo-populism. If he does something good, that would be at least productive in terms of his last days. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But again, whatever you else want to say about fascists and populists, they are very chaotic in their thinking and they often do the unexpected. Hence the Capitol, right, and what happened there. This has been a news and politics commentary on the Snowden pardon and Donald Trump's alleged populism. Thank you for listening.